Okay, today's topic is ethical dimensions of Gandhi. Mohan Chand Karamchand Gandhi, M.K. Gandhi, born on 2nd October 1869, Porbandar at, at Porbandar in Gujarat. And like in first comment, I would like to quote from Albert Einstein. He had quoted it 1944. Generations to come, generations to come might scarce believe that such a man, ever flesh and blood, walked on this planet. So Albert Einstein had said that. I'm just translating it in हिंदी. आने वाली सदियां, आने वाले लोग, आने वाले जनरेशंस विश्वास नहीं करेंगे कि एक ऐसा हाड़ मास का पुतला इस प्लेनेट और इस पृथ्वी पर कभी आया था। शायद उन्होंने ये बातें जो कही थी शायद आज सत्य हैं कि गांधी जिंदा रहे तब भी उन्होंने ब्रिटानिया हुकूमत को हिंदुस्तान से बाहर किया और मुल्क आज़ाद हुआ। यही नहीं, भारत की आज़ादी के बाद भी करीबन 50 मुल्क आज़ाद हुए और ब्रिटानिया हुकूमत को अपनी ज़मीन से, अपनी सरजमी से बाहर किया। Gandhi ji is also known as a father of nation, a messiah of peace, an embodiment of openness, truth, simplicity, and ardent preacher of non-violent movement in India. The man who had courage to speak bare truth of his life. He was, you can say you can say had a courage to say about truth of his life or about anything else in his life or about anybody against anyone. Then he can say Gandhi is a philosophical inheritance from spirit of renunciation, action of Bhagavad Gita. He was very close to Bhagavad Gita in terms of karma, in terms of you can say, uh, in terms of you can say detachment, in terms of you can say closer to ideals of Lord Krishna and Gita. Then, or you can say Niskam Karma. Tolstoy, he had, you can say, greater impact of Tolstoy, Ruskin, and Thoreau. These three persons were having a great impact on the life of Gandhi. Like, let us first try to understand the philosophy of Tolstoy. Tolstoy gave up wealth and took the life of poverty, lived like a farmer. He fulfilled his needs by his own labor. He believed that a man should not accumulate wealth. No matter how a person is bad to us, we should always good to him. And I tell you, Gandhi had such type of feeling in his personality. It was his commandment and the law of God. No one should indulge in fighting. No one should indulge into fighting. It is a sin to wield political power, and as it leads to many evils. A man should attention to his duties rather than his rights. Whatever duties are more important rather than your rights are there. Agriculture is a true profession. Therefore, the you can say contrary to divine power to establish large cities, employing hundreds of thousands to work in machines and factory, making to few and poverty of many. Like you can say, he was ardent. He was an ardent supporter of the village life, and you can say empowerment of the uh, people of the village. He was also ardent supporter of Panchayat Raj system. Gandhi followed and imbibed the principle of Tolstoy in his life. His life became his method. Like Gandhi was known for satyagrah, satya pe agrah karna, insist on the truth. And his fasting, hunger strike, his simplicity, his collective resistance, his movement on the call of consciousness, conscience, his experiencing with truth, his simple living, his self laboring, his commitment of the divine, his duty orientation, his complete sincerity, and all identified with his life of Gandhi. Then there are various concepts and philosophies being cherished by the Gandhiji. One was non-violence. He was an ardent supporter of non-violence. Non-injury of Gandhi has been one of the most formidable and powerful instrument of human action, and he proved that. Gandhi's concern for non-violence, ahimsa was secondary, and actually he was inspired by you can say. Uh, I will name it later on. He said that truth come first. If you follow truth, you can say path of truth, non-violence will come automatically in your life. Like he saw it non-ahimsa was secondary. He saw it as a great method to develop in even greater quest for truth. Gandhi accepted it in 1936. Like as a Jain Muni sage once rightly said that I was not so much votary of ahimsa as I was of truth. But I put later the first place and farmer in second. In his life, truth was Satya Ahimsa. Satya Ahimsa. Truth is first Ahimsa, non-violence come Satya Ahimsa. Then it was in the course of my pursuit of truth that discovered non-violence. And उन्होंने कहा कि जब मैं सत्य पे चलने लगा तो नॉन वायलेंस जो है अहिंसा है अपने आप उनके अपने दिमाग में आ जाती है उनके सिद्धांतों में परिलक्षित भी होती है और इम्प्लिसिट हो जाती है. And then he believed ahimsa is a sort of science. Existence of violence can never mean that creed of non-violence has failed. उनका ये कहना है कि that suppose violence is existing, it doesn't mean non-violence has vanished in your life or you can say society. Like you can say Gandhi had confessions in his life whatever if he lied or you can say even once he had committed theft and ultimately he accepted before his father in written you can say written and written confession and then you can say his father was tearing like that. Okay, so he said that it was a non-violence you can say indication of non-violence. And then Gandhi was just uh, uh, Gandhi used to let loose his anger upon his wife Kasturba, but she bore it all meekly and uncomplainingly, and he had a notion that it was her duty to obey him, her lord and master. But her unresisting meekness opened his eyes, and slowly it began to dawn upon him. He thus became his teacher in non-violence. एक्चुअली क्या हो रहा था गांधी जी जब कस्तूरबा पर नाराज होते थे तो कस्तूरबा उसका विरोध नहीं करती थी ना और रिटॉर्ट करती थी. Ultimately, one day, what happened? Gandhi realized that, and you can say non-violence, and then you can say she became his teacher in non-violence. Then philosophy of non-violence became powerful weapon in the hands of value-driven Gandhi. You can say non-violence, Satya Ahimsa. Then it helped Gandhi in the movements of freedom struggle. Another one, Satyagrah, Satya ka agrah karna, insistence on truth. During the period of 1893 and 1914, his successful legal political career in South Africa, where he invented सत्याग्रह सत्य पे चलने का उन्होंने आग्रह किया insistence on the path of truth. Then political use of civil disobedience by highly disciplined and non-violent violent volunteer. It was his biggest experiment of truth by insisting on truth by Gandhi. Another one, like Gandhi virtually from his childhood cultivated a deep, abiding concern for moral truth and became his sole objective. And he was influenced by drama Harishchandra. Gandhi had one thing took a deep root in me, and conviction morality is the basis of thing, and that truth is the substance of all morality. Truth became his sole objective. Again, I tell you, अगर हम आपसे बात करें, just I would like to quote Tisri Kasam by, you can say, well played by, you can say, Raj Kapoor, Wahida Rahman, and शैलेन साहब ने इसका लिरिक्स लिखे थे और फणीसर रेणु ने इसके जो है ना स्क्रिप्ट लिखी थी. मारे गए गुलफाम एक स्टोरी है, और उस पे ये फिल्म बनी. तो उसमें एक गाना है, राज साहब गाते हैं, सजन रे झूठ मत बोलो, खुदा के पास जाना है, न हाथी है न घोड़ा है, यहाँ यहाँ पैदल ही जाना है, यहाँ पैदल ही जाना है. Then it began to grow in magnitude every day, and my definition of it also became ever widening. Then, as a boy, Gandhi cried in deep anguish when headmaster of his high school held mistakenly that he had told a lie. He had told a lie. To deceive his parent was so distasteful that he gave up smoking, confessed objectively to a petty theft like it. Okay, and then he was courageous enough to accept faults or mistakes he made during his lifetime. Gandhi was highly influenced by the speech of Annie Besant, like I quoted about truth. He was highly influenced by the Annie Besant that her dearest wish was to live and die for truth. In Queen's Hall, London, England, 1889. Her words never faded from his memory. Gandhi accepted in his biography that there is no other God other than truth. अगर आप सत्य पे चलते हैं तो बहुत सी प्रॉब्लम्स अपने आप सॉर्ट आउट हो जाती हैं. और पीपल आर, यू कैन से, व्हेन यू आर बिलीविंग अबाउट ट्रूथ एंड सो मेनी थिंग्स आर सॉर्टेड आउट इन आवर्स लाइफ. Another one was self-discipline. When you are cherishing the ideals of truth, certainly self-discipline is comes automatically in our life. Like Gandhi maintained self-discipline throughout his life, and it became base for his success in his life while going before to England. Gandhi had promised to his mother that he will not touch wine, women, and meat. And ultimately, I tell you, during his life tenure of life, वो मांस मदिरा और महिलाओं से हमेशा दूर रहे. In 1880, London, recalled by Gandhi, he is writing, during these wandering, I once hit a vegetarian restaurant in Farringdon Street. The sight of it filled me with the same joy that a child feels on getting a things after its own heart. लाइक थिंग्स ऑफ सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन। अगर हम देखिए सत्य पे चलें तो दूसरी बात है नॉन वायलेंस आता है, तीसरी बात है कि सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन कहते हैं अनुशासित होना, सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन। एंड देन गांधी सेड दैट ए जेन्युइन फास्ट, जैसे हम लोग फास्ट रखते हैं, व्रत रखते हैं, ए जेन्युइन फास्ट क्लींसेस द बॉडी, माइंड एंड सोल। A true, genuine fast cleanses the body, mind, and soul. Purity thus gained when it utilized for noble purpose becomes a prayer. Like Gandhi regarded self-control as the main cause of the spiritual extent. Like again, I tell you, when you are controlling self-driven like that, then you can say you are closer to spirituality, and spirituality is becoming implicit on you can say body, or you can say दिलो और दिमाग में हमारे कहते हैं आध्यात्म, जिसको spirituality is coming into your body and brain, I tell you. Gandhi said that if anger, गुस्सा अगर हम क्रोध को कंट्रोल करें, if anger is controlled, can be transmuted into power that can move the world. Like again, you can say, suppose you control anger and you can say transmute muted with the power, so you can move the world. Power plus control of anger. And like somebody said that अगर किसी को परखना परखना तो उसको पावर, पावर कहते हैं कि पावर टेल्स एवरीथिंग, आई टेल यू। ओके, तो अगर किसी को परखना है, किसी के बारे में जाना, तो उसको शक्ति दे दो, ताकत दे दो, वो कैसे इसका इस्तेमाल करता है, इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ अ पब्लिक, इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ सोसाइटी, इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द नेशन, आर अगेंस्ट द पीपल, then you can say selfish character of the people is coming out. So you can say it's you can say how strong he or she is opened because of giving him or giving her power. Gandhi, then you can say Gandhi was entirely self-controlled with regard to anger. His secretaries had written that Gandhi was entirely self-controlled with regard to anger, ambition, and sex. Hence, generated a tremendous energy, and was source of his hold on people. Gandhi was having his own control. Not only he was a self-driven, self-controlled, but controlled, you can say, people, I tell you. Like 33 crores people were mad behind the persona of Gandhi like that. 33 crores people. When he was on the fast, whole nation was on the fast. And he was controlled because he controlled himself, and then he controlled everybody or every person of the country. तो कहते हैं कि आप अपने पे, जिसको अपने पे कंट्रोल है, वो दुनिया को क्या कंट्रोल करेगा। Then you can say I would like to he was his you can say several others followed his ideology, and Gandhians you can say followed and known as the Gandhian. Like I would like to quote Baba Amte, Sundarlal Bahuguna, Sila Barse, Chandi Prasad Bhatt, Sushila Nair, and like he was fascinated by bhajan, or you can say poem, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram, Patit Pawan Sita Ram, ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम, सबको सम्मत दे भगवान। ये उनका प्रिय भजन था। लेकिन एक बार हरमन कॉलिन बैक ने लिखा है, ही हैड रिटन 1909 इन जोहान्सबर्ग, a friend of गांधी। उन्होंने लिखा है कि अगर हम उनके गांधी जी के लिखे, अगर हम उनके प्रति सच्चाई रख रहे हैं तो हम खुद के प्रति सच्चे, अगर हम गांधी के प्रति सच्चे हैं तो हम अपने प्रति अच्छे हैं, सच्चे। गांधी हैड नरेटेड रामराज, there is no authentic version is available, but it is said that जिस राज में एक भी व्यक्ति को तनिक भी सुख या दुख का या क्लेश ना हो, वो राम राज है। ओके, that means everybody must be happy. He was a non-cooperation, असहयोग आंदोलन, tolerance, punctuality. He was punctual enough. He was nurturing, and religion, I tell you. Gandhi was a die-hard Hindu, but he had respect for every religion, like you can say Islam, Christianity, or any religion of the world, any religion. And you can say it is amazing that Christians are thinking that he is very closer to Christ, and Muslims they are thinking that he is very closer to Prophet, and Buddhist is thinking that he is very closer to Buddha, Lord Buddha. So ultimately, he was acceptable in every religion all over the world. Every religion, whether Persians are there, so they accepted in toto, or his persona was, you can say whatever you can say, his concepts and philosophy accepted by each and every person, not only India but all over the world. Gandhi had love for his religion and Hinduism. He was religious by nature. It does not mean that he was just against or averse to any other religions of the world. Gandhi is non-dogmatic, Catholic, secular thought. Again, I'm just quoting. His faith in, like he was non-dogmatic, Catholic, secular in thought, words and deeds, and his faith in every religion and studied the Bible. Quran, Judaism, and Zoroaster. But he declared, I must tell you, in all humility, that Hinduism, as I know it, entirely satisfies my soul. लेकिन उन्होंने कहा कि मैंने सबको पढ़ा, लेकिन मुझको जो शांति है हिंदुइज्म में मिलती है. Like I find a solace in Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, and that I miss even the sermons on the Mount Gandhi, remember of Hinduism, like that. Eternal pilgrim of peace and love, like that, written by S. Ramakrishnan and from Bharati Vidyabhavan. Like Christian friends of Gandhi had belief in him that he was very close to Christianity. Fisher wrote, a great writer, Gandhi was one of the most Christ-like men in the history. Whereas Muslim had great faith in him, Gandhi cherished the philosophy of Hinduism in terms of detachment and renunciation. Detachment and renunciation, nishkam kar. And then moksha in life, moksha, detachment. If we sincerely study and analyze his life, his preachings were closer to any religion in the world, like that. Gandhi considered separate religion of words, different roads converging the same point. उनका कहना था सारे जितने रिलीजन है, सारे फेथ हैं, वो एक डायरेक्शन में एक जगह जाके मिलते हैं. कोई कोई रिलीजन अलग नहीं है, कोई अलग बात नहीं. सारे रिलीजन, ऑल द आइडियल्स, ऑल द preachings of any religion of the world, they are reaching to one point, single point. And another one, Gandhi was called Mahatma by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. It was very difficult for human being to satisfy morally and spiritually in the days of hardship and struggle. But it was Gandhi, I tell you. It was Gandhi. Just remember the in Johannesburg platform where you can say he was thrown out of first class compartment. घोड़े साथ दौड़ा दिए गए उनके. He was run over by the horses, and he hadn't any anger. He controlled anger, and it became his strength. It became his anger became his strength, rather than you can say reflecting in terms of behavior like that. Like an eulogy by Dorothy at the time of death of Gandhi portrayed him as, it is my research paper, that's why I'm just portrayed him as a Christ-like figure. Christ-like figure. There is no public figure who has more conformed his life to like the Jesus Christ and Gandhi. Okay, he was. So everybody had faith. Whether Christians are there, Islamic scholars are there, or Muslims are there, Zoroastrians are there, or Buddhists are there, Jainists are there. So everybody was believing in him, and he was one single person had faith in every religion. Then he was when he was actually assassinated assassinated Dorothy wrote, because he insisted that there is no hatred, that Hindu and Muslim can live together in peace. She described him as a pacifist martyr. Detachment again is a renunciation moksha, like Gita. He was inspired from Gita. Gandhi does not believe in greed, desire, and also thinks that root cause of all human problem is a lie in the desire, jhoot bola, desire which arise out of the intrinsic attachment. If you are attached, the ultimately you will, you can say a day will come that you will be detached. You will be detached. Gandhi thinks that liberation is possible when the person is free from attachment, and it creates all problems of human existence. In this way, Gandhi comes closer to Buddha, and same philosophy was pronounced by the Gautam Buddha in his life and ultimately followed by others. Like he had drawn non-attachment from Christianity, Hinduism, and Gita. Extreme non-attachment is salvation, according to Buddha. How to develop non-attachment? Again, if you just regarding death is, he also said that death is a sleep and forgetting. It also facets of non-attachment and saying death is a sleep. Then a detachment could be achieved through practice of self-control, and Gandhi advocated through continuous practice in his own life. He practiced it, detachment. And then humility in life, and then untouchability. He was against untouchability, or you can say, and in those days, and Gandhi's during the time of Gandhi, it was common. People were not liking Harijans, and you can say untouchables, and it was a common practice during those days, like that. So he worked a great. He worked to great extent that you can say such type of people must come closer to the mainstream of the country, like that. Okay. So Gandhi's time with you can say British ruler, Muslim leagues and Christianity, I can say, but you can say in that period, I tell you. Then and he used to visit you can say uh, townships of untouchables, like that, and to serve them along with his volunteers. And he also talked about business and trustees. He appealed to the businessmen of the world and country at large that you are just custodian of business organization, custodian of money of the society, and you are trustee of the money of the whatever business operations are there. Gandhi believed in the concept of trusteeship, where a person should take care of others' property. Same thing he expected in the business. Gandhi believed in the some superior attributes for the warnings and the traders. Like his philosophy was, true Vanik should never speak untruth. True Vanik should never speak untruth. A true Vanik never give short measure, gattoli na kare. True Vanik should honor his words, father's words. A true Vanik should return principle with interest. A good sense is the Vanik measures. And king's measure his credit. Should the businessman neglect his business, suffering like a forest fire spreading foreign? और उन्होंने कहा कि जैसे एक क्वेश्चन है कि क्या एक बिजनेसमैन या वाणिज्य सब कुछ छोड़ दे, लेकिन उन्होंने एक बात फिर कही, like a statement Gandhi adopted by Maruti Suzuki Corporation as a loyalty statement to the customer and service orientation. People are saying that a customer is loyal to you. No, it is like you must, rather than business organization must loyal to the customer, loyal to the customer. Then when you are loyal to the customer, ultimately customer will come again and again. Gandhi had believed that customer is the region of business. Customer is the region of the business. कस्टमर अगर आपके पास आता है तो बिजनेस है, कस्टमर ग्रीवांस लेके आता है तो बिजनेस है, कस्टमर नाराज है तो बिजनेस है, कस्टमर खुश है तो बिजनेस है. Okay, and business must be people oriented, consumer centered. Business must be conducted in the operations, or you can say like power within. He also believed that power within. To some countries today, source of power is nuclear stockpile, or you can say common weapon and common instrument of war is AK-47. Is there AK-47, a grenade, or you can say dagger in the source of power? But you can say, or in the dictum of Mao Zedong, power flows from the barrel of the gun. Where did Gandhi locate his power? Rather, Gandhi abhorred power and nothing to do with it. Gandhi had power within. Power within. अगर आप कहते हैं सत्य पे चलते हैं, नॉन वायलेंस है, controlled anger है, then power within. Power is coming from your persona, a commitment, because he was honest and based on truth like that. Some have opinion that Gandhi symbolizes meekness, helplessness, and weakness. Image of meek and mild Gandhi is in fact highly misleading. Is highly misleading. He was not you can say meek or helplessness and weak like that. Image of meek and mild Gandhi is in fact highly misleading. A true picture was given by the British Empire wartime viceroy in India. He said that General Wavell, who called Gandhi very tough. General Wavell said he was the very toughest man and described him as the most formidable of the empire's opponent. उन्होंने कहा कि अगर कोई टफेस्ट है तो गांधी. जब मुल्क की आज़ादी मिली तो माउंट बेटन ने लास्ट वाइसराय ब्रिटिश वाइसराय ऑफ इंडिया ने कहा था, आप वन मैन बाउंड्री हैं, वन मैन बाउंड्री. यू हु कैन, हमारे पास तो तमाम आर्मी, लेकिन आप सबको कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. Then Gandhi was fearless. Fearless, commented by Nehru after his 7 years of his death. Fearlessness, as I would say, fearlessness was his greatest gift. Fearlessness. और बेबाकी से गांधी, देखिए गांधी वाज नोन एज अबाउट यू कैन से बेबाकी से अपनी बात कह देना, कोई डर नहीं किसी से, चाहे वो ब्रिटानिया हुकूमत है, वो चाहे जजेस हो, चाहे वॉइस रॉय. एंड देन Nehru described Gandhi just the way Gandhi had spoken of himself 8 or 9 years previously. This weak little bundle of bones, and was so fearless in every way. Physically, mentally, it was tremendous thing, which went to the other people too. And I tell you, like the concept and philosophy of Gandhi was adopted by millions and millions and people, I tell you, and billions people all over the world. I tell you. गांधी मरने के बाद ही, after his death, is more powerful than any person in the world. I tell you. Again, I tell you, I just remember Albert Einstein. आने वाली सदियां, आने वाली जनरेशन विश्वास नहीं करेंगे कि ऐसा भी कोई हार्ड मास का पुतला इस जमी पे आया था. एंड देन in January 1897, more than 114 years ago, thousands of angry whites waited in Durban in South Africa for arrival of Gandhi was going to flood with Indians and wanted to lynch him. Wanted to lynch him. Again, Gandhi walked the crowd and he was stoned and kicked, but he suffered. Again, I tell you, he was stoned. His courage did not fail. Gandhi, thank God, it is clear that he had faith in God. So he was also faith in God. Like he was not Nastic, or you can say he was not a atheist like that. The empowerment of weak, he was believing that weaker must be empowered. Whatever rights are there, he must be given to them. Like he was very much disturbed with the status of lower class people, Harijans or untouchables like that. Okay, that he was worried about that, you can say society must accept them whatever their contribution is there. They were neglected, and they even they cannot take out water from any well, or you can say they cannot use the public facilities or services like that. So he was very much concerned for the weaker section of the society. Gandhi was ardent believer in empowerment of the weakest, helpless in the society. Ethnic environment in those times was not very congenial. And then, like in 1947, 2 months before his death, Gandhi spoke in Delhi of a village. Like again, you can say Muslims against Muslim has said that why you are conversion taking place. Because you are in majority, and same way he thrashed you can say people in Haryana that you are converting people, or you can say perpetrating any crime against somebody else because you are in the majority. So he was vocal and vocal enough to say anything, whether Muslims are there, whether Hindus are there, or any race may be there. Another statement about the same time, Gandhi said it is a matter of shame that in Rohtak district that Jat and perhaps Ahirs too felt that Harijans were their slaves. So he objected that they are not your slaves. They too have a right of each and everything. And he was again you can say, uh, believing in a Swadeshi Bhavna, made in India like that. You can say nowadays. Like Gandhi's relevance in modern context and modern politics and management too. Gandhi approached to conflict resolution in politics by constructive personal dialogue, but not by public criticism of others. Like people are criticizing others, not respecting others. So, you can say politics may be another thing, like opposition may be there, but let us respect each other, रेस्पेक्ट ईच अदर, ये हम लोग एक दूसरे को रेस्पेक्ट दें और आदर के साथ, आदर की भावना के साथ रहें और जिएं. देन Gandhi advocated trusteeship for the managers and promoters nowadays. He also taught that every business must be loyal to the customer because he is the reason of the business. Gandhi had a number of people around him work for him. He had a habit of using different people for different jobs. Actually, he knew that how to take work from others. Then he made his own idea on who was the suitable for which part of his work. His choices were seldom obvious. His judgment was usually more intuitive than logical. More intuitive than logical. Another one, like several concepts, they are popular, or you can say they are part or parcel of his persona, like self-respect, public-mindedness, Indian dignity, humanitarian, love for religion. Like several movement like Amul, based on, you can say, participative management, participation of farmer, it was Varghese Kurian, and Varghese Kurian returned from America on one call from and one Gandhian. He stayed in India and started the great movement of Operation Flood because of Gandhian philosophy, and driven by Gandhian philosophy. And till his death, Varghese Kurian was a die-hard, devoted to farmers' purposes and farmers' causes. And he was a true Gandhian also. And then Seva, Self-Employed Women's Association, a trade union of poor self-employed women's workers in India. It is working with the philosophy of Gandhi. Another one, Sulabh International, you can say, uh, You can say it was started by Bindeswari Pathak, a mission in himself, a real Gandhian, a messiah of a scavengers community in India who started a project 41 years, or you can say more, 50 years back. He used to clean feasts ever since my marriage before Baba Pathak came to my rescue. You can say several girls and several ladies just worshipping this man, Bindusari Pathak, and calling him Baba, or you can say. And liberated them, liberated untouchables, liberated those who are indulging in, you can say, cleaning others' fecal matter. Ultimately. It is again, he is becoming true Gandhian in real sense. And another one, started, or you can say, started, invented by Gandhi himself, a thread of freedom, like anything. So ultimately, Khaddar, Khadim, and coarse fiber is there. Uh, then Khaddar, Khadi, nostalgic in Urdu means cotton. Khadi is an Indian hand spun and hand woven cloth. Raw material may be cotton, silk, or wool, spun into threads on a spinning wheel called charkha. It is a versatile fabric and cool in summer and warm in winter. And actually, again, two things are there: a thread of freedom struggle that had binded everybody, and along with that, self-reliance, because at that time we were importing cotton, textile from England, I can say. Then it was the biggest threat to the mills of the England. Khadi is not just a cloth, it is a whole movement started by Gandhiji. Khadi is an icon of Swadeshi, use of Indian goods in the days of freedom struggle, and boycotting foreign goods was to improve Indian economy. Gandhi began promoting the spinning of khadi for rural self-employment and self-reliance in 1928. And then he championed Gandhi enormous consistency and vigor for over 3 decades, like that. Another one, again, I tell you, Bhutan movement. It started by Binoba Bhave ji. He is being called as another second Gandhi, number two Gandhi, like that. He was again cherished the ideals of Gandhiji. And on 1951, Pokampalli, Nalgonda district, historic day of very genesis of Bhutan movement. Whatever excess land you have, just give to the nation and share with, you can say, have-nots on them. And then untouchable and Harijans, like that. Okay. Then and it was really, I tell you, it was a successful to great extent, and people had donated excess land to the for the Sheikh of nation on the call of Vinoba Bhaveji, a great Gandhian writer. And Vinoba Bhaveji had also brought the concept of open jails, like उन्होंने कहा वो भी एक इंसान है, तो उनको एक कहते हैं कि उनको अपने बच्चों के साथ, अपने परिवार के साथ उनको रहने दिया जाए। और ये कंसेप्ट बहुत सक्सेसफुल रहा, जो ओपन जेल्स इन मध्य प्रदेश। एंड देयर वाज ए मूवी, a great movie by V Shantaram, दो आंखें बारह आंखें, and it was based on the great movement of Bhutan movement of Shri Vinoba, late Shri Vinoba Bhaveji, and inspired by Gandhian philosophy. And then surrendering of dacoits, I tell you. Surrendering of dacoits and open jail system. And then several people surrendered, like that. Several dacoits and hardcore criminals had surrendered uh, before Vinoba Bhaveji. Then, Vinova Bhave also envisioned the concept of open jail in Bhind and Morena district, like that. Okay. So ultimately, he sorted out the problems of dacoits, problems of the dacoits, certainly. And ultimately, one thing is that any criminal may be there, they have affection with his kith and kins, his son, his or her sons and daughters, and family may be there. So when they are, you can say, they are coming closer to their family members, kids and kins. Ultimately, they left everything, or according to Gandhi, according to Binova Bhave, that he must be given chance to just lead a healthy life and free from all the vices. Again, I tell you, at last I'm again repeating the words of Einstein. In years to come, generation would not believe that such a man had visited in this earth. Again, I'm quoting, in years to come, generation would not believe that such a man had visited in the earth, whether he was a messiah, a theist, politician, social reformer, saint or sage, God himself. People may contradict him, people, and certainly he had given a path to be walked by the others. More we praise, more we criticize, relevance of ideals increase manifold. Like whether we criticize him, whether we praise him, but whatever his ideals are, still they are relevant, still cherished by all over the world, not Indians only. We people are sometimes we are criticizing Gandhi because he's the toughest man. Criticism, आलोचना भी उसी की होती है जो टॉप पे होता है. He was unbelievable persona, and you can say in the planet ever arrived this planet. He himself criticized the philosophy of again. He was a critic in own sense like that. Gandhi is also ahead of even Christ, Prophet, Buddha, or any other religion, religious god of his planet. Gandhi was ahead. Gandhi was ahead of his times and will be ahead of generation to come in the future. Gandhi is still relevant, whether you criticize him or praise him, like you can say Jawaharlal Nehru, the then Prime Minister, had quoted, I tell you. He said that the light has gone out of our lives, and at 1,000 years later, that light will still be seen. He said. Okay, with these words, I'm just closing my talk with yourself regarding great and great Gandhi. Thank you very much.